Hey guys and girls or whoever's watching, welcome to the 9th video in the series of Spanish tutorials from the OK channel. Let's take a look at what we have today. Before we begin, I have some tips for this unit. So now that we're in the second unit of my Spanish tutorials, we'll mainly focus on how I describe family members, your traditions, forming more concise sentences. I'm not saying that you weren't able to do this before, but these next few videos, next 9 videos I should say, will help you to become better at it. But don't worry, all I have to do right now is to summarize vocabulary. We're not conjugating verbs just yet. Save that for the next unit. This is just to build a foundation, and verb conjugations will just serve as a transition point from where you can stop memorizing sentences because you already know most of the basics and start conjugating verbs to form your own sentences. And outside of these videos, anytime you have an opportunity to practice Spanish, like if you have a Duolingo account or if you have family relatives that speak Spanish and you want to try and have a conversation with them, do it. That's how you get fluent in Spanish, just like not skipping any of these videos. These next videos will be very fast-paced, and I will cover a lot of vocabulary over the next 9 videos. So without further ado, let's get into today's vocabulary. Starting with the transition words. When you encounter the word si, remember it does not have an accent, it means if, which goes with the word entonces, which means then. Then the word como, which you might understand from my previous videos as meaning how, also means like or as when it does not have an accent. So con means with, and its opposite, sin, which means without. Moving along, pero means but only if you have one R. Remember, if you have 2 R's, it means dog. And you wouldn't want to use that as a transition word, would you? So now we have 3 more words. Por or para can both mean for. I'll explain which is which in a couple of videos. But for now, just concentrate on memorizing these words. De means of, and is a very common word in Spanish. I believe it is the second most common word in the language. And y means and o is or. Those are both very easy to remember as they are both only single words. And now, here are some grammar tips. So you might know that none of the vocabulary words have an accent mark, which brings me right into this grammar tip. Every time you do encounter an accent mark, remember it can only be on 6 letters. 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and N. Unlike the 5 vowels, when the letter N has an accent above it, it forms its own unique letter called Enye. This is also present in English loanwords like jalapeno, piñata, and let's see what other words. Yes, remember that it makes sort of like an NY sound like in canyon. Enye. And remember that when you encounter a one-syllable word, don't think too much about the pronunciation. It does not change when you put an accent mark on the word. It does, however, change the meaning, so be careful. I might already know the pronoun to, which means you, but if you remove the accent mark, it means your. Similarly, si without an accent means yes, but this goes back to one of our transition words. Without an accent, si means if. Don't get confused. You don't want to confuse your dad with a potato. So here's our vocabulary for today. We'll start very simple with nombre, meaning name. Starts with the same letter, and that's how I always make sure to remember. However, Spanish tends to be a very literal language and does have its own word for a last name, apellido. To remember this word, think of something being appended to your name, and notice how the Spanish word sounds relatively close to it. Moving along, we have edad, which means age. And this is a very confusing one. Most people automatically assume that dirección just means a direction, and in many cases you're right, but in this context it means closer to a person's email address. Think of it as being like the direction that you're sending an email here. But for a physical address, like where your house is, you would use domicilio. I'm not really sure how to remember that. So moving along, we have a couple cognates here, like ciudad, which means city. And here's not a cognate. I might have lied a little bit, sorry. But pueblo means village. A calle means street. Casa means house. It's a common word. You gotta know it. And here's a word that is a cognate, so I didn't totally lie. Apartamento means apartment. Now let's try putting all your words together in sentences. If you can't understand everything these sentences say, don't worry, I included the English translations so you can improve your pronunciation and vocabulary at the same time. I will pronounce each of these sentences twice just to get an idea of what Spanish sounds like. Mi nombre tiene 5 letras. Mi apellido tiene 6 letras. Mi edad es something años. Mi domicilio es. Make sure to keep track of the rule you see at the bottom of this page. El ciudad más cercano a mi casa es. Una calle es parte de un pueblo o ciudad. Él vive en una calle. Mi familia vive en una casa. Yo vivo en un apartamento. Allow me to repeat these sentences. Mi nombre tiene 5 letras. Mi apellido tiene 6 letras. Mi edad es años. Mi domicilio es. El ciudad más cercano a mi casa es. Una calle es parte de un pueblo o ciudad. Él vive en una calle. Mi familia vive en una casa. Yo vivo en un apartamento. So that's out of the way. Let's head into our overview before I wrap up this video. In this video, we learned words to describe our identity and words to start forming more complex sentences. By watching this video, you can now have basic conversations about your city, town, and your address. Just make sure not to give any of this information to strangers, which is why I left out all of the information when I was doing the practice sentences. Stay tuned for the next video, in which we will discuss family members and more adjectives to describe them. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Y no te olvides dejar un me gusta y suscríbete. Adiós.